To Bruma, where the Democratic Alliance is addressing the media. Let's go there live.
Behind this, and all the ANC cadres that are coming from the provincial government, and we need to be very careful and very scared as South Africans that the democracy that is in that we have in South Africa is now being threatened by the people, like Lebogang Maile and whoever is behind this. So after they failed to produce the letter, then they still continue to preside over an illegal meeting. This is the matter that we have taken now to the High Court in Pretoria, and the judge has actually ruled that any decision that has taken place on that day is set aside until the 17th, and we're very confident that we are going to be able to be vindicated on this particular one. But coming back into the issue of the Section 139 of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, a number of things needs to happen when you want to put a city under administration. One is that in advance, you need to, from the MEC position, you need to then write to the city manager and to the mayor and highlight what are issues that you're having concerns over. Whether it be issues of service delivery, whether it be issues of finances, whether it be issues of reports that you're not getting from the COCTA perspective, you put that. And you then say, I'm giving you X amount of days for you to be able to respond to me. In your response, if the MEC is not happy, then they can write back to you and says, I'm not happy with what you are actually telling me that is the solution. Then you then say, I'm giving you 1, 2, 3 as solutions, or we are going to work together in resolving these issues. Failure to do that, that's when you can then say, we've intervened and we tried to work with you, we're still not getting answers. This is when we're going to start taking the steps towards putting you under administration. None of those things have happened. Not under my watch, not under Dao's watch. None of those things have happened. So Lebogang Maile goes and makes an announcement and then comes back and then wants to then issue the first letter. And that letter is actually factually incorrect as well, because that letter is already saying that all these things are wrong and they're very vague. And this is something that we are hoping that he does so that we can take this matter to court. And when we get to court, we will request of the court to actually ask of all the municipalities in Gauteng to submit their financial records, to submit their service delivery schedule, so that we know in which municipality waste gets collected when. Electricity outages, when, how do we respond to electricity outages? How do we then, fill in potholes when they need to be filled in? And that needs to be a record of court, because we want to expose the lies and to show that the ANC is now so desperate that they're willing to undermine and all the legislation that is there, and also to turn a blind eye on failing municipalities. Right now, Mogale cannot even fill a truck with diesel to go and collect waste. Councillors and even officials hadn't been paid. 3 months officials hadn't been paid. And he's the first one to start running to Tshwane and saying Tshwane should be put under administration. Well, you're failing to even pay your officials. The officials had to lock councillors in a sitting because they hadn't been paid for over 3 months. You go to Enfuleni. Enfuleni right now is just limping from one crisis to another. We're having the raw sewer that is now flowing into the Val. And I can go on and on. I mean, if you drive into Enfuleni now, you think you're driving into a sewer plant, because every other street, there's sewer that is just flowing all over. And he wants to come and tell us that they want to put Tshwane under administration. But here's another thing. They know that the problem in Hammanskraal didn't start when the DA took over. The problem in Hammanskraal is something that comes back 2 decades. And I want them to call all the mayors that have actually been in the administration of Tshwane, to call the DA mayors or former mayors who have been in the administration of Tshwane. All of them must then account. Before Lebogang can just quickly jump and say part of the problem in Tshwane is that there's water crisis in Hammanskraal, they need to all account, and the mayor will account for each of their actions. And the premier must also tell us what interventions did the province put. In fact, we are also challenging them to call on Nomvula Mkonyane, who was the Minister of Water Affairs when I was still the mayor there. When we wrote and said we are ready to, with a tender, to renovate and to actually upgrade the Rayval water plant, they put it off because none of their comrades were part of the panel that was supposed to be appointed. So we have that all in black and white to say we wanted to act on these things and these things were put on hold. So Lebogang Maile, we want to warn him, and we are saying that we we are ready, our lawyers are ready. We want him to actually start the process of Section 139. And we want to then say that he's not going to succeed on this particular one. And in fact, when we win in court, because this is a time where we need to make sure that all those that are entrusted with power or with authority really take responsibility in how they use that power. I think it's time that we push that people are held personally accountable and not use taxpayers' money in a manner that they have been advised that you're going about doing things the wrong way. That they are being held personally accountable to account and pay for all the damages and legal fees that we would incur in this particular case. He has been warned. The Constitution and actually the Section 139 is very, very clear in terms of how you go about ensuring that you put a city under administration. And the city of Tshwane is nowhere near, meeting the criteria of being put under administration. And we're warning him right now. If he wants to do it, he must bring it on, and we'll meet each other in court. And we will ensure that there is a declaratory that seeks to personally hold him to account for all these things should he proceed to go ahead. So that is our statement. We have actually provided you with a clear flow chart of how Section 139 really operates and what are the criteria that you actually need to go through before you can actually put a city under administration. And Tshwane doesn't really meet any of those at this particular point in time. We can tell him of municipalities that really fall within that they fail to do anything year in and year out. In fact, they've been pumping more and more money into these municipalities, but these municipalities have shown no sign of turning the corner. And we want to challenge him to really prove to us that this has nothing to do with just political gimmicks that they're involved in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Also to the viewers out there, if you go onto the internet and you punch in Section 139 of the South African Constitution, you'll be able to read it for yourself. Abel, do you want to say anything as the acting mayor?
Look, the only thing that we can say as the City of Tshwane is that we are committed to giving and delivering quality services to the resident of Tshwane. As the leader of the DA caucus in the legislature, together with you, have already said, the Democratic Alliance has made a commitment to the people of Tshwane to lead the people of Tshwane and ensure that we lead the capital city into a brighter future for every one of us. Former Mayor has said that we have made sure that the EPWP is fair by introducing a lottery system, that you find that everyone has a fair chance of being able to find a job. We've emphasized that the issues that have been raised of the Auditor General, for the first time this administration has ensured that it applies the remedies as prescribed by the MFMA to deal with irregular expenditure and so forth, which are legacy issues that date back as far back as 2013-14 financial year. The issue of the Hammanskraal that is much publicized. I mean, this administration has done more. In fact, Kgoshi Mahepa has tweeted last week or yesterday to say there's a 1.6 billion issue that is going on. And now it shows what the issue really is about. Because for the first time, the City of Tshwane has reprioritized USDG grants to ensure that it puts money away to actually do what needed to have been done 5-10 years ago, which is to upgrade Rooiwal wastewater treatment works. And because all the plans are in place, because we have finalized and made sure that we made provision for that to happen, and we are about to implement, they have found a way to look into the coffers and say there's an opportunity to quickly grab what they can. And we are not going to allow them to do that, because the public purse will ensure that every rand that is destined for the people of Tshwane, they will get 100 cents worth of value out of it.
Thank you so much. If there are any questions, please, you can pose it, just give us your name and then...
Just like to find out, what was the status Moody's gave Tshwane now the last time?
Well, when I left the city, we had 2 notches up, and Moody has now also retained that particular status. So we are still on a stable path. So, and that hasn't changed. Now the question is, can the rest be said about other municipalities as well? Municipalities that are failing to meet the obligations. Remember, Eskom is actually even right now threatening to switch some of the municipalities off. Rainwater is threatening to close water or to throttle some of these municipalities. And Lebogang Maile wants to come and focus on a municipality that doesn't even owe Eskom or doesn't even owe rainwater. In fact, the same municipalities owned by the departments, government departments that is owing the municipalities monies. And then he wants to come and tell us about the financial sustainability of a municipality. We're saying to him, bring it on. We will meet in court and we'll make sure that you are personally held accountable for this. Yes. If anybody wants the copy, we'll make sure that we provide the copy of the report.
You say that the MEC started the processes by doing something and then later only sending the letter.
Yeah.
In that letter that they sent, what are the reasons that you put forward for putting them in spectrum?
Well, you know, his letter is very funny because his letter is all over the show. He's talking about the city's finances. And we've asked the question: if we've met, I personally met with the Treasury before, and the MEC as well, and the MMC in the city of Tshwane. Even after we've left, the Treasury had come to the city. We have gone through a plan in terms of how the city's finances are, and then what needs to happen going forward. Treasury has actually given us the green light in terms of the plan that we already have. So the question is, on what basis is Lebogang Maile now saying that the city's finances are in a mess? What report did he request that he's having a look at to then inform that particular decision? And this is why I'm saying, should he decide to go to court, as is his right to do that, we are going to get to court and also request that all the municipalities should submit the same kind of reports that is asked of Tshwane, now that he's done so that there is a fair comparison. And we want to then make it real, or make sure that it then becomes a court record that this is the state of all the municipalities around across Gauteng. And then let's see whether he will then still be able to stand up and say Tshwane needs to be put under administration. Shockingly, I think he will realize that municipalities that are run by the ANC are the ones that are in critical condition, needs to be on a drip right now. In fact, because they've just keep limping from one problem to another, where now you're having councillors being locked in council buildings because salaries haven't been paid of officials, where you're now having creditors who are now actually attaching some of the assets in municipalities, where you are now having a situation where a simple broken sewer line cannot be fixed in Mfuleni. I urge you all, media guys, to go and walk around Mfuleni, see what is actually there, and ask, why do we still have a mayor in Mfuleni? Why do we still have a mayor in Mogale City? Why Lesedi is also now getting onto the brink of disaster? And remember, Treasury now has said that they are actually going to top slice funds that are going to the municipalities. Now, these are municipalities that already are failing to pay ESCOM, are failing to pay rainwater. Now, imagine what happens if Treasury actually goes ahead and implement what they're saying they're going to implement, which then Lebogang Maile should be worried more about, instead of wanting to play political games.
Yeah, I must also just indicate that letter that Solly is referring to does not say that Tshwane is now being placed under administration. It's a vague letter. It does not specifically say you are therefore being placed under administration. So it's nothing else but hot air and smoke and daggers. Faith?
Just for the record, you're saying that the MEC has followed none of the
Yeah.
right? No, not one.
Not
one.
What happens, Faith, is this. So if there is a problem in a municipality that perhaps the MEC has picked up, the first thing you do is to write back to the city and say, I've picked up that this is a problem. How are you dealing with it? So you write to the city and you write to the mayor. And then you give them, I think it's 7 or 14 days in which they need to respond to you. And then they need to say to you, this is the problem, or this is not the correct information. Here's the correct information. And then once that has taken place, if there is really indeed a problem, then the MEC will then say, okay, how are you then turning on resolving this issue? And what kind of assistance can the provincial government give you? Right? So then you go through that process, and then failure to go through that process, then the MEC can then say, we've tried to assist you in this particular manner, we've given you XY resources or give you personnel to come and assist you with this particular problem, you still failed to resolve the problem. Therefore, it pushes me to then give you notice of an intention to then put the city under administration using 139. And by the way, when you do that, the first thing you do is to write then to the minister. You write then to the NCOP, you write then to the city itself. And you say to the city, we intend putting you under administration. You don't go and announce that you put the city under administration, and then afterwards you write to the city a letter that says, I intend on putting you under administration. So this is why we're saying the process that is followed to date is so flawed that even if he goes to court today, we are ready for him.
Is there, sorry, just a follow-up question. So waiting from now in terms of Tshwane, is there any sit-down meeting? Is there any focus? Is there nothing that is planned between the and maybe the provincial government that can sort this out before we end up in court?
Okay, I think the acting mayor, the legitimate acting mayor is sitting right next to me, and then he should be able to then respond to that. Oh?
Yeah, what we have done is we've received the letter and we will write back to the MEC, obviously responding in that letter, and unfortunately we cannot obviously divulge everything that we said, but the bottom line is we are bemused as everyone to say the first point of contact we have with him is that after he has announced what he has announced on the media, he has then sent us that letter. I hope that they'll then respond to us and hopefully meet with us to basically outline what they think caused them to do what they did. But the bottom line is, I think we need to allay the fears of the people of Tshwane that Tshwane has a mayor in Stevens Mokhalapa. I am currently acting, legitimately so. There is a speaker in Tshwane. There is an administration in Tshwane. We are more than capable of dispensing our constitutional obligation as the city to run that city effectively. Our finances are stable and services continue to flow. And for that reason, we feel that more than anything, the residents should not heed to these gimmicks. But over and above this, it is to ensure that the employees of the city of Tshwane get an understanding that the city is running as it should be.
By when will you be responding to?
We have responded to the MEC, yes.
Any other questions? None? Thank you so very, very much for attending. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Solly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abel.
Thank you.
So, Abel, I think you must put on your electrician's gear and you're going to
Yeah, no, there's
go and sort out the ESCOM now, the ESCOM problems.
He must put ESCOM under administration.
Exactly. No, he can't do it, but yeah, that's what they should be focusing on.
Well, there you have it. A former executive mayor of Tshwane, Solim Semangu, and a current acting executive mayor, Abel Dawu, they're saying the city is running as it should be.